Hey, my name is Kim Meyer, and I have a story to tell about my grandfather, Randolph Barker. He played a tremendous role in the technology industry, and yet you Google him and maybe one or two of his patents come up, but it doesn't really say much about him. And I think that's wrong for somebody who put so much into the industry. So I think you get a kick out of me doing a YouTube video for him, and I think you get a kick out of the fact that I was doing it off of a phone. I think he'd love that. So, his thing, we all have cords for our phones. It's called a molded on plug, and that is the story of Grandpa. I do not believe that he patented it, but I believe that he was one of the first forerunners of it, and really took it off from there. So I'm going to turn it around and show you a picture of Grandpa. So, Grandpa Barker. This is a page from the Brockton Enterprise newspaper, and it was a write-up on him. And he was a paper boy for the Enterprise when he was a kid. Bottom middle, top right, he was president of his class. Middle one says, man on a 6-foot bench. He started his company. And you gotta love the American dream is alive and true and well. The bottom right, he was a bank trustee for Bridgewater Savings Bank. He was also part of Who's Who of the East for Industry. And the bottom left shows a picture of him with the plane. He learned how to fly, and he went and saw his clients and stuff like that. He also had a boat, and he loved horses. And I have a horse farm, so I feel my connection with Grandpa. So, he started his business in his cellar himself. On the day, the story goes that it was on the day my mom was born. He told Grandma that he was quitting his job and starting his business. And, man, that's pretty risky with a brand new baby. But he sure did it and did it well. So his first employee was his dad. I never knew my great-grandfather. But he was the first one, and then the second one was the neighbor behind their backyard, Roger Hill. He was also very, I don't know if he made the dyes or what. So that's how it got started, and there was a lot of sacrifice that went into doing this, of having it start from the house and putting all the money into it. There was a story that Grandma had to hawk her wedding ring to be able to buy the kids clothes one year. So it wasn't just a beautiful, glorious thing. I've heard stories, I'm going to move over here. What he made was something called a molded on plug. You can see the picture on the left, the black and white, that there is a thing with screws that clamps the wires on. If you plug and unplug, that will get loose in time. Here with the molded one, you can see that it would be much more sturdy. And now here, I read this today and I thought it was cool as could be. His slogan at CMS is CMS means total responsibility. What a slogan. Wouldn't you love if more companies had that today? And he became the largest custom molded cable assembly complex in the world, giving CMS the ability to handle everything from specialized single orders to millions of pieces on time and within budget. We do business in all the United States and Europe, making connectors in fields such as data and word processing, industrial controls, mobile communications, test instruments, audio-visual, office equipment, medical electronics, process control, instrumentation, and concepts that are still in the research and development phase. So, pretty darn cool. So, this was the original building in West Bridgewater. And Mom used to say that after Sunday dinner, they used to go every week and see how the progress of the building was going. They built on, and there's more to that. And then down here is the Pocasset, Massachusetts one. And Grandpa hired a lot of women because the Otis Air Force Base was there, so the men were at the Air Force Base, so he hired a lot of women at the Pocasset plant. They went on to form plants at North Carolina and also later Ireland, before they finally sold it in 1994 to Votech. So that's the logo and a bunch of the products that they made, manufacturing. So they have it in the computer industry, the hospital industry, that it was very mobile application. It was very flexible and could move, interconnected with, says RCA on it. Computers, more computers, because computers were just starting. I mean, it was crazy. The 80s, I mean, it was crazy. This was the 70s. Grandpa was ahead of his time. So he was getting information and cords to all these people that were brand new techie people. So here is another ad for making of their cables. And here I love, this was a, you know how they call and say, how'd we do? How'd you like it? This is a booklet that says, basically, does CPI fulfill your needs? Let's see, are you satisfied with our lead time? So this was, before there were phone surveys, there was an actual survey to see about customer satisfaction. Grandpa also had a subsidiary called Barker Products Company. And I'm not sure, I wish he was around, but I believe this was more geared towards the music people. And then Digital Company gave them an award for supplier system management programs. And then there are an awful lot. I had to look up who Pitney Bowes was, and they are kind of like a FedEx. They like ship a lot of technological equipment, and so they gave Grandpa and his company an award for many, many years. So I wish I knew a little bit more about what this was. And the years were the years. Yep. And then this, I love this. Okay? EKG information. Electrocardiogram. And so it can be ECG. I looked it up because I was like, what's an ECG? I thought it was an EKG. And to think that all the lives that Grandpa Barker and his employees and everybody that the company had in helping to save lives. And because his equipment was good and secure, and I love it. All the different lives that were affected. And then here we're getting into computer. I believe these are more computer stuff. Cords. So I'm going to take you over, and we are going to look at some companies that Grandpa did work with. Okay? We have RCA. We have Digital, HP, Data Processing, RCA, Abbott Medical, Panasonic. I don't know this company. And also Air Shields, and also Belden. Let's see if there's any different ones up here. Commodore, Sigma, Lanier Electronics Lab, HP again, and this is kind of cool. This is what the inside of it looks like. And I remember as a kid, the wires would come on these big wooden spools, big ones. And Dad would bring them home when they were empty, and they were kind of cool to play with because they were probably, I don't know, about 4 foot tall. And then there were little barrels that had little pieces of plastic that was used for the molded on, and it came in little barrels with rollers and all different colors. So, but that's kind of, you can see the wires. Can you see the wires? Not real well, but you can kind of see the inside, which is kind of cool. And so here are a couple other things. I'm not 100% sure what all of this is. And these sort of deals. Looks like for a motherboard of some computer. That's what it kind of looks like to me. And then here, there were industrial things that were made. Cords, they're a little corroded now, but look at that one. Look at that. All of these cords that nowadays we take for granted. They're a little corroded, standard lines with the flat ribbons style. And all the testing that went into it, I saw many things that were tested that failed, and which goes with Grandpa's thing about here's medical. Medical. All these different cables and things that were medical for saving people's lives, Grandpa. Pretty cool. So, I'm going to turn me back around. So, there you go, Grandpa. There's your YouTube video. Just letting people that if anybody has an interest, that you are now going to be on the internet, that you made such a big thing with all of the technological advances that you were part of. And if anybody knew my grandfather, worked with my grandfather, have any stories about it, please put a comment down below. I would love to hear from you and hear more about it. So, Grandpa, you're going to be on the internet. Okay, bye-bye.